Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, that's loud.
That's fine. I'm not even worried about it. Alright, still gotta put this up here though. Okay, that was kind of loud.
Yeah.
Oh well. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 3, 2, 1. And we're here with King Steven. If you haven't heard of him yet, then you're living under a rock. I don't know what's going on, Steven.
Nothing much, man. Slow day, slow start.
So I know you're working on autonomous cars, so you're trying to put a lot of people out of jobs.
That is a 100% fact.
But that's what we're doing in engineering building anyway.
All day, every day, man.
So first thing about it, I'm curious of, because I don't know the answer to it yet, and no one I've talked to does. Do you think it'll actually put a lot of people out of business?
Right now, I'm like, you got Uber and you got Lyft taking over taxi drivers, so not really.
Well, yeah, that's true. Well, I guess what I was concerned with is like for truck drivers. Do you think that we're really going to get people to drive semi-trucks anywhere if we just have like dedicated lanes on the roads for autonomous vehicles?
That's not happening.
Really?
That's not happening at all.
How come?
It's too fucking difficult.
Oh, like to build it or just to maintain it?
I'm like, so you got to worry about coverage. So like, the size of a car is like 2 times smaller than a truck, and you need a lot of fuckload of sensors to cover all that space. So it's just like, you need, I'd say, quadruple amount of sensors, and it's just like, I don't know, crazy amounts of money. That's not even worth it.
So you wouldn't need less sensors because if it's all autonomous driving, like aren't you worried about less accidents?
I'm like, accidents wouldn't really make a difference because the cars are designed to like look around them and like create a structural world in a digital format and then drive according to that. So if you don't have enough info, you're pretty much gonna crash.
Oh jeez.
Yep.
Okay, so do you think by having like more autonomous cars would it actually reduce the number of accidents on the road? Or would it, because I know there are a lot of YouTube videos out there of people messing with them, like on purpose, where it's like if you know that there's a guy in a self-driving car, they'll actually like swerve right next to it just to like fuck with them. And it'll like they go out of control sometimes.
Yeah. Like right now, for pretty much like in a real world sense, it's not ready at all.
Right.
But
I believe in you, Elon Musk. He's got this.
maybe. I doubt it though.
But yeah, I'm just wondering how, because every time we have this huge like technology advancement, somebody goes out of business and someone makes a whole new industry.
True.
Like, I just feel like the actual production of cars is going to go down because it's going down already.
Yeah.
Like people aren't buying cars because they just don't have to. Uber and Lyft are already taking care of it.
Yeah. I'm like, these cars are pretty much only for like the sole reason of like we want this just because we want it. Not like
That's true. Yeah, there's no actual need for it, right? Because you're paying a lot more money, and I don't even want to know what the insurance would be like on something like that.
no one knows.
But that's true. No one knows. But wow, I didn't think about it. I did get into like this argument about like car accidents and car deaths, and I'm not sure how this related to it, but someone brought up gun control with it. And they're like, what if we just have autonomous guns instead of soldiers? I'm like, you mean robots? But it doesn't, because they're like, it would cause less soldier fatalities, and I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's necessarily the solution of like having like a robot warfare, or even having like autonomous everything eventually. Like, I can't imagine that would be better for us.
I'm like, it just shift to cyber warfare at this point.
That's exactly what I think is going to happen. Like, because you can do more damage out behind a computer than you can with a gun at this point. Like,
Yeah.
you can really mess things up if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, and it's pretty simple too.
That's the scariest part. There was a TED Talk about how to hack a computer through like a Wi-Fi link.
Yep.
And it's so easy.
I'm like, Wi-Fi is pretty simple.
Yeah.
And like, Apple had the crazy crackdown too. I don't know if you heard about that.
I did, yeah.
Yep.
Apple it's odd because Apple definitely like they were known for their security. Like when Macs first came out, even now they're like they don't have as many viruses, which they don't, to be honest. Like a lot of them is just like for PCs, but the ones that they do have, oh dear God,
They destroy the computer.
they will wreck it. Yeah,
Man,
I don't know what you have to do to get one of those, but
I'm like, it's pretty easy to get a virus.
that even if you know where you're going. Like, I think people don't understand how easy it is to, like just plant a virus. I've never done it myself, but I've seen people, like, just show me how to do it behind a computer. And you can put it in an email.
Yep.
And you'll never know it's even there.
Right.
There are some very, very intelligent computer scientists out there. And it's truly amazing. But, I remembered I was going to tell you about the gun control thing. Like, I was having this discussion earlier. And what my question was, like, whenever someone, like, gets killed by a gun, you would blame the gun, but if someone gets in a car accident, no one blames the car.
True.
And I never understood that. Because could you imagine those headlines? It's like, Nissan strikes again. It's like, we really gotta limit who can buy these Toyotas. And then like going up, like that makes no sense. But
Right.
for some reason, the gun one does make sense.
Yeah.
I never, like after thinking about that, I'm like, I really don't know why that's even relevant.
I actually don't know.
Yeah, like when the thought first crossed my mind, I was like, this actually makes sense to me. It's like, yeah, no one blames the car, but for whatever reason, like if you apply like something in engineering will teach you that like if you apply logic to one thing, it should work for another. Most of the time, when it doesn't, you're probably doing something wrong. And then at the same time, in different classes, it's a whole different story.
True.
You like, oh man. Oh yeah, the thing that I've learned through engineering the most is that you will bond through suffering, more than you will bond through success. Because I think people don't the actual value of having an engineering degree, as explained by one of our professors, he said that it's that you can have a 4 to 5 year commitment that's tough as hell, and you can just stay with it. Like that was the largest gain from having this degree because most people, if you actually go to an employer, right? Because like there was a whole march on Wall Street, and they were like highly. That was one of the advertisements on the posters was we want to get paid like engineers. There was a guy holding a poster that said that, and it made no sense. That was the logic though. It was we went to college for the same amount of time that they did, so why aren't we getting paid as much?
It's the effort, man.
That's what it is. I'm like, I don't think that we actually will use, unless you get like a master's degree, then you'll actually be using the knowledge. But just with a bachelor's, you're more of a glorified technician.
Pretty much.
Because I've had internships with it, and a lot of my friends have had it, and you're not really doing a lot. Because you're more or less like troubleshooting to make sure everything else is working properly, that people like you are building.
Yeah. I'm like, it's just all that development stuff is just dedicated for masters and PhDs. It's just, it doesn't make sense to get, like, a bachelor's for anything engineering, and, like, you're not making a meaningful thing happen. You're just, like, you're being told what to make because someone else designed it.
Yeah, I had the same mistake, but I had a grad student tell me that if you ever want to design something, you're going to need a PhD.
Yeah.
Like, designing is hard, by the way. I'm not sure people realize, like, that word encompasses a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, I know, right?
Because I've met art students who say that they like designing. And that means a whole different thing to an engineer. Because when they say it, they're like, yeah, I like designing, but I don't like math. So, like, okay, so you like drawing.
Drawing is math.
Oh, shit, that's true. Yeah. Like, the professor that I've had, there's like, math is just a language that translates, like, real world stuff into actual numbers so you can understand magnitude.
That's true.
That makes complete sense to
Yeah.
me. So that's the way, after looking at it in that perspective, it became a lot easier. But I think just before that, I had a whole different perception of what engineering was before I got to this university. And, I mean, did you know you want to be an engineer, like, ever since you were, like, a young kid?
Started with art, like, all the way through high school and switched to engineering at the last minute.
You started with art?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not see that coming.
I'm like, I placed in, like, state top 5
What?
in art, and I just like quit art to be engineer.
Why?
I'm like, pretty much social things, right? I'm like, if I choose art as a career path, you don't make money. Let's
No,
just be
you
real.
don't.
You don't make money. So I'm like, I'm gonna choose the next best thing, and I'm still doing design work, and it's just still doing math. So it's just engineering, and that will pretty much fund all my art needs at this point.
Yeah, art's a weird one because don't you start making money after you die? Because then like
Pretty much.
all of your artwork is now like exclusive or limited edition or
Right.
things like that. So it's a very unusual concept.
I'm like, that's physical art. You got digital art too. So I'm like,
Oh, like multimedia.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, that's a
I'm like that used to make
whole billion-dollar industry I just forgot
Yeah.
about.
You make no money with that either, because like there's a crap load of people out there doing that.
Well, because you don't need a degree to do it anymore.
Yeah.
For a lot, like right now, we're filming this podcast with 2 iPhones and a camera that I got from Groupon. Like you don't need to have like full on like this is all extra stuff like all the posters like you
Yeah.
really don't need this. It just makes it look cool.
Yeah, that's true.
But way back when you couldn't buy these cameras like for the price you can buy them now.
Yeah.
But do you think that engineering really is like the main goal to take away jobs?
I'm like,
Because I've heard that so many times from so many people.
I feel like engineering is like, you just want to make something a reality just because you want it. That's the only reason for it. I'm like, you're lazy? Let's fix that. We'll do something and make a tool so you can be lazy. Or it's like, you want this one limited type thing that you can only use on your own? You can go make it.
Bill Gates has a really popular quote where he's like, I'll give the hardest job to the laziest person because he'll find the easiest way to do it.
So true.
It's so true. What advice would you give to someone who wants to be an engineering major and they're on the fence about it?
That's an interesting one here.
Like let's say that the reason I joined engineering, honestly, I did not know that I wanted to do this. In fact, now I can guarantee I don't want to do this. And it's because I just joined it because I'm good at math and I like physics.
Yeah, that's pretty much what most engineers
That's
start
a
as.
that's a standard, right? Yeah. But no one is like born liking engineering. But like you're born like drawing is actually if you're good at that stuff, you will be very valued.
Right.
Like whatever you actually want to do, just become the best at it.
Yeah.
And I think the difference with engineering, especially with like Indian culture and probably Asian culture too, you just want that stature, like to say that like I have the title of engineer or like I have the title of a doctor.
Right.
But the occupation itself is not as important.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm like, I guess just to be an engineer, you just need to have a drive on your own. Like if you don't have a need for like making something new or like innovating something, there's no point in being an engineer. Like might as well just be a technician at that point.
Be a what?
A technician.
Oh, yeah.
It's like you're doing the same exact stuff, but you don't need to know everything about every little detail. That's what engineers do. They just know all the concepts and how to manipulate things to make things work for you.
Yeah, you have to ask like just keep on asking the question why until you reach like because the electron does this.
Pretty much.
At that point, you're like, okay, like you don't need any more of an explanation.
Yep.
Because that's what the semiconductors, those classes, that's all they talk about. It's like the reason this works is because this is how a transistor works, and that's because like holes of electrons and like things like that. It's like the physical atoms, how they move. I mean, I don't know if people know what like an electron and stuff like that is, but you will.
It's like standard now.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? People, like, when I was in high school, if you graduated and you, like, took Calc 1, that was, like, a big deal. Like, standardized, they don't do that. Now, whole different story.
Yeah.
Which it makes me kind of question, like, dang, like, what have I been doing? Because if you go back, like, when our parents were in high school, I mean, like, when my parents went to school in India,
Right.
so I don't know how different that level of math was.
I think it was like algebra for my parents.
I think for my parents, anything beyond like they did their geometry was not the exact same as ours. Like, I mean, it's the same math concepts. Don't get me wrong, but like the how you teach it, how you learn it, and where to apply it, we're all different.
Right.
So I don't know what it is. The good thing about math is that it's universal. Like, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. It's the laws of like physics and math still apply.
Yeah.
So that's always an advantage of having an engineering degree. You can literally work anywhere in the world because, I mean, and you can even work from just your house now, just on your computer.
True. That's what I do now at this point.
That's what so many people are doing. It's so convenient.
I know.
And it's almost become a problem because people are outsourcing a lot to to India and China for programmers. And I thought it was actually kind of smart for a while. It takes an engineer to come up with this stuff too. When there were Google employees that they're given specific tasks to just like program whatever or to troubleshoot this, and they would literally just transfer all the files to people in India because you could pay them a lot less for programming, and they'll do it.
Right.
And they'll like it doesn't matter how you program something. All that matters is that it works.
Yeah.
Like, if you have like 1,000 lines of code or 100 lines, that makes no difference.
Yeah. Well, Google specifically, yeah, it doesn't really matter. If it's time critical things, like that's where you have to worry about.
Well, yeah, that's
stuff.
different, right? Yeah. But if you just have like here's a problem, fix it, they're not gonna say, well, how'd you do it? They're like, did you do it or not?
Right.
So what these engineers were doing was they were sending all these like all their work to people in India, and they were just like paying them like X amount of their salary, while they did nothing.
Sounds about right.
So I was like, oh shit.
The laziest solution, man.
Because that's what was going on. Like, they were just paying them like 1/4 of their salary,
Right.
and they were finishing all the work. Well, they did no work at all, and they were doing like they were starting their own businesses, their own companies, stuff like that. So they still had their money coming in. They were just like, here, so do that, do my homework for me.
Yeah.
And it was a happy cycle until Google were like, wait, why don't we just pay these people directly? And then that's when you have like tax laws and stuff like that preventing it, whatever. But
Man, politics.
politics. One advantage of it though, like I'm gonna talk about Donald Trump for a second here. I did not vote for him, but it is happening that his presidency is making life easier for professionals and for people who have like degrees in like medicine and engineering and physics. And I talked to like one of my close family friends about it, and what they said was because of his presidency, it's so much harder for immigrants to come to this country. For one thing, they don't want to.
Yeah.
And for another thing, it's very, very hard to get here now.
Yeah.
So what's happening is that these companies are no longer able to outsource or just like import us.
Yeah.
So they have to pay people in this country more money for the same job.
True.
So now engineers, like our salaries are going up, but the number of jobs is going down.
Yeah.
So it's like if you have a job, you're making more than like someone normally would, and it keeps going up.
Right.
Like, I don't think the demand for engineering will ever go down.
I don't think so.
I can't ever predict that happening because the direction we're going is because of engineering. Like, we are where we are because of the smartphone
Yeah.
and the internet and the computers and something I have definitely taken notice of is if you look at like the 1800s, if you like the 1810 and 1890, people probably didn't live that different of a lifestyle, right? In those like 80, 90 years. But if you go back to 1960 and look at 2018, vastly different.
True.
It's like not even like if you went back in time, they would think that you were like a witch, or you were something out of like from outer space.
I'm like probably farther than that.
Yeah, and beyond. Right? Salem witch trials on your ass.
Oh man.
What do you think is the next like innovation that's gonna happen?
Probably bio-neural engineering at this point.
Like they would,
Like biology plus engineering to make new things.
yeah, that's why biomedical is becoming such a huge deal.
Right.
There was how that bubble started for people who don't know what like biomedical engineering is basically where you have knowledge of the most common interaction is with electrical engineering and with medicine, because this is where you're able to actually literally put in circuits under people's skin.
Right.
Like, it seems like it's way far-fetched, but it won't be. It really won't be that ridiculous in the future, because like if I don't know if people still watch The Matrix or if they've even heard of it, but you can literally like download information to someone's brain. Where it's like, okay, I don't know how to fight, just download a file of like this is how you box, and they'll learn it like that. So it's like, and this is gonna be very very far from what's happening, right?
Yeah.
But something that is going on right now, and there's research here at like Michigan State, and I'll talk about what is public, so I'm not trying to screw over. Like I won't say who's involved in it, but what they're doing with rats is they're actually controlling them with like a GameCube controller, and I guess how that works is like there is a microchip implanted at their brainstem, and what's happening is whenever you press a button on the controller, it's stimulating different parts of their brain, so you're controlling it more or less through like you can't push the button and say move forward, like you can't command it in a sense, but what you can do is stimulate the part of the brain that says run, so now you feel like you need to run.
Yeah.
So that's what's happening right now. I mean, clearly, I can only imagine what's going to happen with like humans, because we're already so attached to our smartphones.
Right.
I this is where I have an issue with. Like, I'm curious, like, what your take is on this. When people, like, especially like our parents and people of this generation, they're telling us to get off your smartphones, and like leave them alone, put them away, because it'll be better for you in the future. Like, I don't think it will.
I'm like, it probably will in the long run if you think about it. But like short term, nah.
I don't believe so, because in the future you're gonna be more attached to your electronics, not less.
I'm like, you have to think of electronics as like a straight up tool. And like, electronics are tools. But if you're like attached to a tool, you don't know how to function without it. And that's just an issue for your like surviving life.
But we can't function without them as is. Like, if you're living in America, you can't get by without a computer.
I'm like, yeah, I can. Well, not anymore. But
No,
like,
you can't. There's no way. Like, there's nobody who actually is earning money can survive here without a laptop or desktop or smartphone of some kind. You
True.
need to have something.
True. But you can still get rid of like the worthless things, I should say. Pretty much like you're using Google Maps in the city you live doesn't make sense.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like, you don't like. So the difference between need and a want. Like,
Right.
I don't need this microphone or like these many like cameras. These are all extra. But I need a phone.
Yeah.
Like, that has now become a genuine need.
Yeah.
So what I was trying to get at was in the, like, if you can only imagine 30 years down the road, we're already so attached to this, because the smartphone, it just compiles so many different electronics into one thing. Like, years ago, there was a TV, a radio, and that you can watch live. It's all on one device now.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're going to compile more into it, but I don't think people are going to be, like, the people who are addicted to these things, it's weird enough to say this, but they're going to be the ones who's, like, go further ahead in the future.
Yeah.
Because they're going to, like, if you're attached to it now, and, like, if you're, I don't mean, like, you're not attached to it for social media's sake, right?
Right.
Like, that's not giving you anything but a bill.
Yeah.
But for, looking at it from, like, an engineer's perspective, if you're constantly on your phone and you're like messing with it and you're programming with it, and even just having it on your person at all times, which majority of us do, you're probably going to be more of the norm than someone who doesn't use it as often.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, do people still have flip phones?
Some of them do. I'm surprised. I saw a few like the other day. That was insane.
Really?
They had a flip phone, and they had like the old-fashioned one screen with the buttons on the bottom. You slide up.
Wow, I haven't seen those in such a long time.
Yeah, I've seen two of those like the past 4 years.
Oh man, when I was in high school, I had a flip phone. Like, when I was in high school, that was when the iPhones first started becoming a thing.
Yeah,
And I had a Razor.
dude, everyone had razors.
Because that was the coolest thing in
I
the
know,
world
right?
back then. And now, and this was not a long time ago.
Yeah,
Like, I was in high school 5 years ago. Now, if you have one, it's like obsolete.
yeah, pretty much.
It's like, that's it.
Right. I'm like, your camera has more power than that phone.
It does. That's true. Even what's more unbelievable is memory. Like, is it Moore's law? Like
The transistor thing.
That's
That's Moore's law.
that's Moore's law. What is the uh, what's the thing that's like every year the amount of information you can carry doubles?
I'm like that's kind of Moore's law.
Is that what it is?
It's like interpretation. Like Moore's law is you double the amount of transistors in a year.
Okay, then yeah, that is what I'm thinking of. I
Yeah.
just worded that awfully.
Yeah, pretty much.
So if people don't know, do people know what a transistor is? Like, we are not the normal
Right.
human beings. Yeah. So when you walk into an engineering building, what you're gonna see is just like you won't even operate on the same wavelength as us. Not in like we're smarter than you. It's not that. We're just built differently. Like
The whole language, man.
it really is like our brains are trained to interpret and like apply in a whole different way than normal people. Because for any normal human being, you should not be in the same building for more than 24 hours if it's not your house.
True.
We freaking live in that building.
I've been in there for like,
Yeah, you really live in that building.
dude, I've been there for like 3 days straight.
Where did you sleep?
The offices, like I have keys to the office. I have connections to like the DPO. So
Oh.
I'm like, I just sleep on the couch. They have pretty much sofas anywhere. I'm like, if you have keys, you can just sleep anywhere you want.
Yeah, I've definitely taken my fair share of naps in there.
Right.
Like quite a bit of naps. And I've gained so much weight. Since like, cause you're living off like vending machines and Panda Express.
Pretty much.
It's such a weird concept. I don't know how to explain that to people though. Like when they ask about like what's the difference between an engineering major and just like someone else,
You're in a cave, man.
it's a
You're in a
whole different
cave.
world. Like you're literally isolated from everyone else.
Yeah. It's just hard to talk to people outside because like they just don't know what you're talking about at all.
It actually is a genuine problem too.
Yeah.
And this is the same problem that happens with celebrities. That's like when they're not like normal anymore.
Right.
I think the point of that is because you just worked for so many hours and so many years in just one field that if you talk to someone who's like not there,
They
they're-
can't.
they can't communicate. No, it's like if Dave Chappelle just casually came over here and started like having a conversation with us, like I don't know what to talk to him about.
Right.
And like I do stand up comedy, like I can talk to him about that. But for any like person who's not into that world, all they can do is praise you.
Right.
Like for someone who's not an engineer, they can just say, "Wow, like you seem really smart."
Yeah.
But it's like, but they don't know how to. Like you can't have a discussion with them about your job,
Right.
and I don't blame anyone for that. Like I can't talk to. That's just the way it is.
Right.
Some this is kind of harsh, but I did think it was hilarious about the difference between history and like math. Yeah, but you haven't even heard it yet. It's coming. It's bad. I heard it on The Big Bang Theory.
All right.